Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm so excited to talk about everything I read in July. I think I had a couple 5 stars, maybe just one. We will see as I go through everything. So, the very first book I'm not going to talk about for too long because it's probably the most overrated book of all time. And I read A Court of Thorns and Roses. I'm not going to explain the book because it's overly talked about, so I won't really talk about it at all. But what I will talk about is my experience listening to it as a graphic audio. So there's audiobooks and there's graphic audio. And if you've never tried graphic audio, I really recommend it. It's basically like a movie, but without the visuals. So they read the book to you, but there's a full cast, so every character has a different voice. It's more acted out, more so than read, and it has sound effects, so it really immerses you into the story, into the world. So I love the graphic audio experience. But this book, it's just too popular that I can't really enjoy it, which sounds crazy, but I don't know. I'm not alone in like feeling that way. So yeah, I just think it's 3 stars. But yeah, listening to the graphic audio made the experience way faster, way better, way more efficient, and I wouldn't have got through the book so fast without it. So I listened to the graphic audio on Libby, and I think it has like unlimited availability. So if you have Libby, you should be able to listen to that graphic audio. Or I just have a really nice library and they have it, but hopefully you can find it on Libby too. And that's completely for free. So the next book is Silver Under Nightfall, and this was 5 stars. This is by Rin Chupeco, and I bought it on Google Play actually. And it's a book about vampires, but it's unlike any book I've read. I can barely... this book isn't even similar to it, but it gives me the same vibes as like the Nevernight series. It's not similar in plot at all, but they're both fantasy books. So Rin Chupeco really blew me away. The writing was excellent. The characters were excellent. The writing and it just wrapped me into the story. Yes, it did take me a very, very long time to read this book, so I'm not gonna lie to you, but some 5 stars just take me a very long time, like a couple months to get through, and that just happened to be this book. But yeah, I just really loved it, and it has really great romantic tension throughout the whole book. It has humor, it has everything you need, and it has adventure. So the plot does revolve around vampires, and with a lot of vampire books, it's very it can be very bloody. So if you're not into reading a lot of fight scenes, then probably don't read the book. But I don't want to explain the plot because it will give too much away, but just know that I highly recommend this. And I have to commend Rin Chupeco for being so open-minded and writing diverse characters, and just being a man who acknowledges issues. Like the book highlights issues of domestic abuse, for example. So it's important to take issues that are in everyday life and bringing awareness to them. And the fact that he did that in a fantasy book is crazy. And another example of an issue that he brings up in his book is consent and the age of consent, and that's another theme in this book. So I think it's just amazing to write a book that has action, also has humor, and then it also has serious issues just sprinkled into that. So I just had to give Rin Chupeco extra points for being aware of really important issues like those and putting them into the book. So that was just kind of a bonus for me. But I really hope to continue with this series, and I hope I can get my hands on the other books. So I'm really excited. So after that, I read Reckless by Lindsay Silver, and I have to take the time to talk about Powerless. I read Powerless last year. This book was terrible. Like, it was really bad. I read the beginning and I paused and I was like, was this written by a child? This was 2 stars, just so terrible. And the age gap was really creepy. And it was so bad. I thought a child wrote this. But this is worlds better. So please listen to me. Do not read this book. Do not read this book. This one is way better. So this book, Reckless, is about Winter. Winter's best friend is Salome, who's in this book. But this book is terrible. Salome was actually more interesting and more of an entertaining character in this book than her own book. So don't even waste your time. Like, there's nothing, this is not worth reading. But this is amazing. I'd give it a high 4 stars. It's crazy that I would continue the series, but I bought these close to each other, so I didn't have time to read this first and then think about it and then buy this. But I probably wouldn't have bought this, if there was enough time between when I read Powerless. This was really bad. So this is a secret pregnancy trope, and it has Theo and Winter. Theo is a bull rider, and yeah, I don't explain the plot too much, but it's really amazing. And because it's surprise pregnancy trope, we eventually have this family structure growing in this book, and it was really amazing. The character development was just way better than Powerless. I think she started out at the beginning of this book Powerless and ended Powerless, but this book you just saw a family grow. And Salome was more out there and more outspoken, even though she was just a side character in this book. So yeah, this was really, I cannot recommend this enough. But yeah, I read this one first and then this one. I would probably read Flawless before this book because I was kind of confused with the other characters and the other storylines going on. But yeah, I don't think I'll continue this series because this was really bad. So if I did continue the series, I would read Flawless. And also, I don't like age gap, and all of her books have a whiff of age gap in them. This is reverse age gap, actually. So I could stand to read it. But this was just worlds better than Powerless. I highly recommend this. The next book I read was Mercy by Sarah Kate. I think all of these books I've mentioned so far have been spicy, so be aware of that. This is very spicy, the spice is the plot. So yeah, I don't have a ton to say about this book. This is also reverse age gap. It's kind of people exploring their kinks, but yeah, I don't have too much to say about this. I didn't love it, I didn't hate it, so yeah, I can't really recommend it. I don't have too much to say on it, but I enjoyed it enough. So then I listened to the audiobook for the Intimacy Experiment by Rosie Donnan, and I listened to this after I listened to the Roommate Experiment. So the Intimacy Experiment is about a rabbi named Ethan who calls upon Naomi to speak about modern day intimacy in the context of the Jewish faith in order to get more youth to join their congregation. And so it was really interesting to read about intimacy and how religion affects relationships and sex. Oh, and I forgot a big thing. Naomi is an adult film star, which is very important for the plot. And so it just examines how this unlikely relationship blossoms under the pressure of the public scrutiny, and how Naomi and Ethan come from the two worlds, literally. And so it was really fun. But yeah, I would just have to give it 4 stars. I didn't have that 5-star feeling, but I loved these characters. So Rosie Donnan knows how to write an engaging, lovable story with characters that you really grow to like. And so yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I highly recommend her books, and I recommend The Intimacy Experiment. Then I read the very popular Daisy Hates. Yes, I started with Daisy Hates, as I already know myself. Magnolia Parks is gonna annoy me, but I'll get back to that in a second. So Daisy Hates, as you can tell by the guns, she is part of an organized crime family, and it takes place in England. But I don't know. I'm trying to figure out if the majority of this story is her romantic relationships or that organized crime element, but I don't know. I think it's more leans to the romantic relationships part. So I'll go into the negatives first. This was repetitive for me. Not as you would expect. Yes, her and Christian are on again, off again. And whenever Daisy finds herself in emotional turmoil, she just sleeps with anyone. And that was very repetitive. But it's a fact that in this book, Daisy's ex, Romeo, is in love with her. Daisy's in love with Christian. Christian's in love with Magnolia, and Magnolia is in love with BJ. And the fact that they're all in the same unrequited situation, that in itself is repetitive. So it's kind of like I'm reading the same character and just different people. So they're all like the same in a way, because they're all experiencing the one-sided desire or one-sided attachment. In that way, it kind of gets like, I'm tired of this. So yeah, it'd be interesting to kind of not have the like unrequited love be so true to every character in this book. But yeah, as you will see, the relationships will change, and that's not always the case but for most of the book, they all have unrequited feelings. So yeah, it was kind of frustrating. The characters, they are all out of touch with their emotions, so that's also like very annoying. So yeah, I couldn't read too much of this at a time because it kind of got irritating. But overall, I really liked it. They did have really amazing imagery and like very amazing metaphors to describe relationships, different types of relationships. And so so it had like moments of genius sprinkled throughout the writing, so it was well written. But I just feel like when I go back and read Magnolia Parks, I think that book's gonna really annoy me. So I'm pretty sure I'm gonna be right about that. But this was 4 stars. I did enjoy it, and I do recommend it. So then I read the book Sinner by Sierra Simone. And this is like just supposed to be spicy, but this was surprising, and it was actually more deep, and it had really good philosophical questions about religion that were discussed in this, and that was not what I expected. I don't know why I'm reading so many books about religion, but it just happened to be like that. But this was so surprising. This had depth. Like, I really wish I could go through this book with a marker and just cross out some lines, because she had some terrible lines in this book. She had some chapters in this book that were just badly written, but she also had some gold in here. She actually had some like religious philosophy in here that was really unexpected. So this was pretty surprising. So yeah, if I wish I could go through and edit this book, and then it would be amazing. But this book is about Sean, who he's questioning his religion, and that is exasperated by his mother being struggling with cancer, and so that kind of makes him wonder, is God really there if my mom is struggling with cancer? And then he falls for Zenny, who is a young woman who is beginning her journey to begin devoting her life to God as a nun. And how can their relationship form when he's not religious and she is, but they strike up a deal. I'm just making sure I don't spoil anything before she begins the process of becoming a nun. So I really enjoyed this. I would say generous 4 stars, but I had to take a star off for the age play. I find age play really creepy. So it was really creepy. In my defense, I did not know this was age gap. So if you do not like age gap, and I know it seems like I like it because it's in all these books, but I didn't know. If you do not like age gap, do not read this. This age play in this book, it was like a third of the book was age play. It was gross and creepy, so that I had to take off a star for that. But that is Sinner. So this was a more deep than I thought. And yeah, I wish the age play was not in that. It was really creepy. So thank you so much for watching. And let me know if you had any 5 stars in the month of July. Did you have any 2 stars in the month of July? Let me know in the comments. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.